Intel Vice President and General Manager of Network Platforms Group, Sandra Rivera.
Good afternoon. As you just heard, I run the network infrastructure business for Intel that is part of the broader data center group. And it's a job that I find both challenging and rewarding, and is a particularly exciting time as the networking industry is going through a market inflection point in terms of the way that networks are architected, operated, and deployed. My other day job is running a busy family. I have 4 children. I have a husband who's an entrepreneur, has his own business, and we do a bit of tag teaming to run a kind of a crazy household, and I'm part of a big extended Latin family as well. Data has transformed every aspect of my life and really is transforming every aspect of all of our lives for everyone in every corner of the world. And I'm going to talk about the transformative power of data and how Intel is investing with our ecosystem to harness that power and to turn it into opportunities for all of us, and especially for all of you, the developers. If we look at data and the exponential growth that we expect over time, the average user today uses or generates about 1.5 gigabytes of data per day. And we know that a lot of the data that is being generated has been, up until now, people-generated data, connecting human to human, and interactions with data that we either create or we consume. But over time, we see that there is much more data that is going to be generated not by the 7 billion people in the world, but by the tens of billions of connected devices that are coming onto the network that are all generating and consuming data. If you look at a contrast of what a human generates or consumes with 1.5 gigabytes, you see that a connected car will generate up to 4 terabytes of data per day. A connected plane, 5 terabytes, a smart factory, up to 1 petabyte, and video, which is the mother of all workloads, will create as much as 750 petabytes of data per day by the year 2020. That's an extraordinary amount of data that needs to be managed, secured, transported, and stored. But this is the reality, and this is the future that we are all seeing in terms of both a challenge and an opportunity. For Intel, this flood of data and this transformative force of what that means to our company has created an evolutionary path for us to move from what we've been historically, which is a PC-based company and the guardians of Moore's Law, but also a company now that is anchored in all of the capabilities and innovation and value creation that comes from harnessing insights and analytics of all of that data. And when we look at our organization, we have 2 big pillars that we anchor on for growth. We see this flood of data and opportunity for connecting billions of things, from the familiar smartphone or tablet or PC to some of the emerging things like drones and robots and, of course, autonomous cars. And really, it is that connectivity of all of the things to the cloud through this network infrastructure that gives you computing capabilities throughout that entire spectrum of transaction between device and cloud. And some of the accelerating technologies that we are investing in are new memory technologies that we know allow you to then create content or store content or serve up content much closer to those end devices, because some of these new memory technologies and non-volatile memory capabilities allow you now to bring content in a cost-effective way, in a high-performance way, much closer to all of those endpoints. And FPGA technology also becomes another accelerant in this transformative force of data because it allows you that programmability that you need as you have evolving standards, evolving algorithms, and evolving use cases. So when we look out in time, we see an extraordinary opportunity with 5G. 5G is not just a new air interface. 5G fundamentally redefines how the entire infrastructure is architected. We have use cases that we know exist today and that we are trialing as we go out in time, but we have many use cases that we have yet to even imagine. When you look at those three different big buckets of use cases, you can categorize them into the ultra-reliable, low-latency types of use cases, which are characteristic of autonomous cars, as an example, or remote telesurgery, as another example, where bandwidth and low latency is critical. There's another big category that is known as enhanced mobile broadband, and this is where we're seeing the evolution of immersive experiences, primarily video in augmented reality and virtual reality and those types of applications. And then finally, a third category for 5G use cases comes from the massive machine type communications, massive machine-to-machine types of communications that will really connect together all of those billions of devices. These use cases are transformative in terms of how they impact both our work lives and our personal lives. And to take a look at just how transformative that capability is and how much innovation is happening, let's take a look at a video.
"5G. It promises to transform our lives in all kinds of different ways. But what is it exactly? It's often described as just the next step in the pursuit of an ever faster network. But in reality, 5G is much, much more. It's an entirely new technological foundation, purpose-built to support the next great wave of life-changing digital advancements that will be enabled by our smart and connected future. From the safety and environmental benefits of autonomous driving, to dramatic breakthroughs in artificial intelligence via machine learning, and a whole new era in healthcare, to a smart and connected revolution that will transform agriculture, manufacturing, cities, and our individual homes, even virtual and augmented reality. Every one of these promising new breakthroughs will be built on the common foundation of 5G, enabling billions of things to be made smart through seamless connectivity, massive computing power, and access to rich data and analytics stored at the eye of the cloud, all of which puts Intel and our partners in a unique position to build the 5G future together.
Fun stuff. So this impact of data and the emerging use cases brought about not just by 5G, but by the fundamental network transformation that's happening in the industry has a profound impact on the cloud and the data center. It drives up computing capabilities and drives up the different workloads that are being hosted in data centers and clouds across the globe. If you follow the trajectory of the mainframe era through the server era to the internet economy and the cloud era, artificial intelligence is that next big workload that we see driving a tremendous amount of innovation and new use cases and opportunities. We expect that AI will grow over the next 3 years by 12 times what we are currently experiencing today. And it will represent over half of all of the workloads that are hosted in data centers across the world. And AI is being used for work, it's being used for play, it's being used to do good. If you look at some examples of where artificial intelligence is being used today in the finance industry, you see that we are able to create natural language processing that allows you to have a regular conversation with your bank accounts and your investments, and even getting advice from an AI personal assistant that learns your habits, it learns your preferences, it gives you advice, and it just gets smarter as you build a relationship with this artificially intelligent brain that is mimicking your own brain and actually giving you more information than you would readily have at your own fingertips. In play, we see that sports has a great use for artificial intelligence. In fact, if you look at athletes and where a lot of the performance happens in terms of an athlete's movement and form, much of that analysis happens today through a set of markers and cameras and in a lab environment that does a very in-depth analysis of a particular athlete, in the case of a baseball player, of a swing of that bat. With artificial intelligence, we actually are able to perform that same type of analytics using nothing more than a smartphone and a tablet, and being able to do that and providing that 14-point map of movement and form for that athlete with some very basic tools and at a much more cost-effective and friendly environment to be able to perform that capability. All of that really requires an infrastructure that is fundamentally much more intelligent, much more heterogeneous, and where programmable computing exists across the entire spectrum of network appliances and network nodes in the access, in the edge, in the core, and in the cloud network. And if we dive down a little bit deeper, we know that at the edge of the network, we're trying to bring much more computing capability to those endpoints and serve up more content and more capability and new services that are more finely tuned to all of the various devices that are sitting at those endpoints. This we see today happening in the enterprise, where enterprises are virtualizing their customer premise equipment. They have a software-defined wide area network strategy that they're implementing, all of it running on standard server technology, which has been virtualized and is taking advantage of cloud not only as an architecture, but cloud as a business model. And we see the integration of those platforms to the IoT devices that are connected in that enterprise, bringing all of that information and new applications and capabilities within the enterprise to the users of all of the infrastructure. And this is not just something that's happening in the wireless industry, but also in the wireline industry, where cable and DOCSIS and GPON and fiber are also critical technologies that are being enabled with a much more intelligent edge. In the core of the network, the network core is where the most compute-intensive applications are run. And today, those applications run on purpose-built equipment that does what it's designed to do, but share a lot of common tasks and usually have an underutilization and a complexity that creates a very costly way to deploy networks. In the future, this will be much more based on server technology. In fact, much of the core is being virtualized today, and we see service providers of all types really having a virtualized core, matching a virtualized edge, and being able to optimize that entire infrastructure to the use cases and composing that network capability in real time that really can target the latency and throughput and performance requirements of the individual applications. And finally, in terms of the immersive data that we are creating in media, this is another area where we have an opportunity for richer data analytics and many use cases emerging, not only in terms of augmented reality and virtual reality, but something we call mixed reality, where we have physical objects placed in a virtual world or virtual objects placed in a physical world, and enriching the experience of the user through applications that you would be familiar with today, like Pokemon Go or Facebook 360 or Google Street View. All of this generates an extraordinary amount of data, but also provides analytics opportunities for developers to create services and revenue. So our strategy at Intel has been to invest with the rest of the ecosystem and industry around open source and open standards to optimize the workloads to take advantage of those underlying networking technology ingredients in hardware and in software, as well as aligning the industry around a set of standards and opportunities for us to really work together and solve problems in parallel. And from an investment perspective, this is an area where we have been closely partnered with Red Hat for a number of years in terms of our contributions to, of course, the Linux kernel. Intel and Red Hat are the number one, number two providers or contributors to the Linux kernel, and we have been for over 10 years. But also looking out at all the networking technologies that we're contributing to and all the projects that are critical in terms of accelerating the growth and opportunity in our industry. Projects like OpenStack and Open vSwitch and DPDK, where many of these capabilities for fast data path and forwarding are now incorporated in standard releases of the Red Hat Enterprise Linux releases, as well as many of the different releases that are available from standard distributions across the industry. And clearly, we see an opportunity in container-based technology with Kubernetes and Docker that we are also both contributing to and deriving value from as we move across this evolutionary path. One example that we have in terms of the work that we're doing with Red Hat and Lenovo is around enterprise-grade on-premise cloud services platform. And this is a desire to have a hybrid environment for both on-prem and public cloud, where you have a seamless capability between those two environments. Today, we're running on a cluster of 12 servers with the latest Intel technologies and using a Lenovo server-based standard kit, a starter kit, that allows you then to turn up capabilities in a matter of minutes instead of hours or even days. Paul Cormier, who is one of our strong partners, of course, and the leader at Red Hat, is very excited about the work that we're doing together in terms of accelerating the developer community and creating more opportunities for all of you and all of us to really optimize around not just the enterprise networks, but also the wide area networks. And we're very excited about the work that we're doing in OpenStack, OpenShift, and of course in NFV together. So optimization is another critical element of investment that we make, and optimization to really provide tools and capabilities for developers that they can take advantage of, or all of you can take advantage of, all of the work that we've done prior to now. We have over 480 companies that are members of our builders community. We have over 600 technical publications that we have had published with solution briefs and reference architectures and case studies and tips and tricks and techniques, documents that allow you to innovate much faster. We have over 2,500 developer trainings that we've done globally, and over 9,000 individual uses of the content that we have provided that is available to all of you. So I would encourage you to go to builders.intel.com and pull down all of this content as you're looking for innovation and opportunities to accelerate for your customers and in your markets. A great example here of work that we've done with another partner is work that we've done with Cisco on their UCS platform, on a Red Hat software platform for an OpenStack solution that optimizes the NFV infrastructure, taking advantage of the Intel underlying capabilities for enhanced platform awareness and security capabilities, trusted execution technology, really being able to take advantage of a lot of the capabilities that you need for delivery to your quality of service and service level agreements through the access of the underlying ingredients and the building blocks. So this is another example of ways that we're working with the industry and our partners to bring commercial solutions to market more quickly. So finally, aligning with the industry is a critical element of the strategy. We work with cloud and communication service providers all over the world, cable providers, and of course the enterprises. And we see a tremendous amount of opportunity that we're bringing to the developer to be able to harness and innovate for all of those end user markets. And one of the areas that we have been working on, of course, is how do we bring more of an optimized enterprise security capability for on-prem cloud that can also be a part of a broader solution for a hybrid cloud environment. We have done work with Cerner where we have actually implemented a number of data security elements that is critical to any healthcare application, since our medical records are pretty precious to us. And this has been built on standard server technology where we are applying all of the innovations in both hardware and software ingredients to optimize the platform for security, for service assurance, and of course for the most critical workloads that are running on those platforms. This has resulted in a faster time to market of rolling out new services and a total cost of operation that is much lower than having purpose-built solutions that would address these types of capabilities in the past. And one other area that we've been investing in, of course, is in all of the innovation that is happening in the public cloud, in the large cloud service provider environments. We have partnered with Google on introducing to market the latest and greatest of our processors, the Skylake processor. They have been a very early adopter of the new capabilities. These capabilities include not only compute capability, but also high-performance networking and packet processing capabilities that really complete the solution for the Google Cloud Platform. It's based on many of the elements that you see here, OpenStack, Kubernetes, of course, the underlying infrastructure hardware from Intel, and a number of service providers and applications that are being hosted on that platform. And I think up next is a gentleman from Google, Sam Ramsey, who's going to talk about a lot of the work that we're doing to take advantage of the advancements in compute capabilities as well as in networking technologies. So the call to action for all of us, all of you developers, is to take advantage of all of the capabilities that 5G, artificial intelligence, and data analytics are bringing into an environment where the network infrastructure looks really much more like a server than a purpose-built network appliance, and take advantage of those tools to move the market and to be that change agent in terms of this transformative force of data. So 5G, we know, and AI are fundamentally the big catalyst that we see over time in terms of driving more innovation and opportunities. We see the need to continue to invest and optimize and align around underlying technologies, open source and open standards, to make sure that we have a community that can go forward much more quickly and accelerate the realization of that future. And we really enjoy partnering with all of you and invite you to be part of that journey to be the change that we want to see in terms of the transformative force of data. Thank you very much.